All right, we live. What's up? You there?
I'm here.
Yeah, man. So, just go ahead and tell people who you are, man. You know how we met, stuff like that.
We go back from like I guess our college days, man. The late 1990s, early 2000s. Uh, I go by the name, which is like short for my real name, J Norm. Um, but in like college though, y'all gave me the name Josephus because I was always like studying history, church history, all kind of history, pretty much.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, we call you Josephus, Doctor Luke. But yeah, man. Lately, man, I've been really kind of, we've been touching bases. This is for everybody else. You already know this, but we've been kind of touching bases about just black economic empowerment and
Right.
just discussing how we can elevate our position as a people, uh,
Right.
dealing with the issues. I think it's something we should always, we should always be thinking. You know,
Right.
I'm
Always.
sure the Jews in private they discuss their issues and how
Always.
can we empower ourselves as Jews. And I'm sure
Yeah.
100 years ago that's all they talked about.
Right. And they still do.
Yeah, exactly. So they talk about it, except now they own everything, so they're kind of in a position of strength. So, and today I took off today, had some things to do, and I've been riding around, and I really don't
Yeah.
go riding too often. When I'm off work, I go straight home. I go to the gym, I go work out. I
Right.
scramble home to spend time with my little boy.
Right.
But I guess lately, today I rode around and I saw like literally, I took pictures of about 5 or 6 apartment complexes within like
Yeah.
I would say maybe a 3 mile radius from where I live.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
going up and they're throwing them up fast. I mean,
Now, who is over this? Like, is it a private company? Is it like HUD? Like, who's doing all
it's
this?
not. It's not. I'm in the northern area of Atlanta, so it's kind of
Right.
Sandy Springs, Dunwoody. So these
Okay.
are like private companies. These are
All right.
different. I don't know if they're all the same. I would imagine some of them are,
Yeah.
but just in the last, I would say 3 years, I've been living in the North Georgia area for a while. In the
Mhm.
last 3 to 4 years, I've seen apartments coming up like crazy. Like
Mhm.
they're coming up like you wouldn't believe. And the
Right.
rents in the apartment where I stayed,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
I stay at now, the apartment
Right.
when I first got in, the apartment was like it was cheap. I wouldn't say cheap,
Mhm.
but it was a good.
Affordable.
Yeah,
Reasonable.
it was affordable. You come in,
Right.
they bait you in with the special, but we're talking $800, man. I'm real
Right.
talk for a 1 bedroom, which wasn't bad.
Right.
Now, I mean, it's we're almost $1,400, man. Not for 1 bedroom,
Wow.
for two, because I got
Right.
my son. But
Right.
2 bedroom, 2 bath, $1,400.
Mhm.
I promise this place isn't 1,000 square feet. It may be 1,000 square feet,
Right.
maybe
Right.
on the dot. You know,
Right.
so off the top, they're getting $1,400. These apartments were built in the late '80s.
Right.
They did a out. Now I will admit they've done something to the outside of them. They look real nice. They've been
Make
painted.
them all look nice and stuff
Yeah,
like
they
that.
spruced them up, but on the inside it's the same apartment. I mean, they
Yeah.
got the little hardwood laminate down. It's not real hardwood, but
Mhm.
these are the tricks of the trade that to why they charge you this kind of money. One thing I've learned when I flip, because I've personally flipped houses for about 8, 9 years, and
Right.
when I flipped houses full time, people don't know the tricks of the trade. For
Mhm.
example, when I was in Montgomery, my sister bought a house that's about 2,100 square feet.
Yeah.
She got a basic house, spent about 130,000 for the house, right? But the
Right.
house she has she has carpet, uh, laminate flooring, not laminate. What is it? Carpet. She has vinyl flooring. She got a vinyl
Right.
kitchen, vinyl front foyer bathrooms,
Yeah.
plastic tubs. She has Formica countertops, which is the basic countertops that you get. I mean, nothing spectacular.
Right.
And she paid 130.
Mm-hmm.
Around the corner, I wouldn't say around the corner. I say maybe about 4 miles away, 3, 4 miles away.
Yeah.
They're building the exact same floor plan, not the
Mm-hmm.
same building, but the same exact floor plan. The house looks pretty much similar on the outside, give or take a few bells and whistles. They use
Right.
architectural shingles instead of 3 tabs, or
Right.
they put little fancy door knockers on there and expensive looking door handle, like
Right.
door latches and stuff. So
Right.
then they probably put like a gas lamp up front instead of just a regular light. I know the tricks, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You go on the inside, they put hardwood in the living room, real hardwood, which is cheap. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't know that. They put hardwood in the living room, and there's a trick you can do around the crown molding and bring some chair welding below that and paint the wall and make it look real thick, like it's one big piece of crown molding.
Right.
They did that just in the living room alone,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? The rest of the house, except the kitchen, they put tile, which is cheap,
Mm-hmm.
ceramic tile. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't some granite tile or anything. They gave you the stainless steel appliances, which are cheap. They're not that
Mm-hmm.
expensive.
Right.
Then they give you stain. They gave her what type? Granite countertops, granite
Right.
and marble countertops.
Right.
But you're not talking that much. So let's say they spent the whole kitchen. Let's say the kitchen cost them $12,000.
Right.
That's cabinets, appliances, countertops, labor, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact plastic tub. Bedrooms are carpet. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. They got a tray ceiling in the front living room. Oh, and another trick they did, they didn't just do popcorn on the ceilings. They actually painted the ceilings.
Mm-hmm.
So the ceilings are painted as well.
Okay.
And I'm telling you all this for a reason. Guess the price of this house. Now she paid 130. Guess what they were charging for those houses?
Probably double. Like 250.
Almost 3 times. $350,000.
Wow.
And they were getting it. Now this was before the housing bubble burst.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying all this to say that the economically real estate, and this is why I push real estate as hard as I do. Real estate is the great equalizer. You
Mm-hmm.
can be ignorant. I know guys that are former drug dealers or guys that have a sixth grade education, but
Mm-hmm.
they flourish in real estate.
Right.
It's a real simplistic game. All you need is a fifth grade education to understand real estate. You really
Right.
do. You just got to know how to orchestrate and manage labor. That's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest skill set to have in real estate. How do you
Mm-hmm.
manage the labor? How do you manage the people that are maintaining or the people that are building and rehabbing your property?
Right. Right.
And so excuse me. So I'm just at a point I'm gonna be honest with you. I guess I'm just at a point of frustration, or not necessarily frustration, just jealousy and envy. When I see the white boys have, Reginald Lewis, the owner of Beatrice, that
Mm-hmm.
died of leukemia. I think he was only 43 when he died. But
Right.
he basically I think he was the first black billionaire or something. He basically had a book called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? You know.
Mm-hmm.
And my
Mm-hmm.
brother gave me that book way back in like 92. And I read it and I was just amazed at this guy's cockiness and he talked this way. He was a C student from Virginia
Right.
State and
Right.
talked this way into Harvard.
What's the
He
name
just
of that book again? What's the name of the?
Why should white guys have all the fun?
Okay.
About
Why should
Reginald
white
Lewis.
guys have all the fun? And
Yeah,
he's
about
dead now, right?
yeah, he died. Yeah.
Mm.
But the thing I'm saying is this: we have got to start thinking, where are we now? And
Mm-hmm.
where are we going to be in 30, 40 years? And we got to start small. I hear a
Mm-hmm.
lot of complaining among us as people about we can't get this and we can't get that. Damn it, start with what you have.
Right.
Start small. I think we just, the Bible says, despise not humble beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times we look down on people, or we look down on situations because we're so focused on trying to get to the end goal as fast as possible. You're not
Right.
probably going to get there in time. I mean, just let it go. Just start focusing on what can I give my child? What can he have or she have when I'm dead and gone? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's where I am with it.
That's interesting.
So I mean, I'm just, the thing is, man, I'm looking at all these different people
So, like,
in
do you
different.
think that black folks should pool their money together, like in groups, like in small groups, in order to
I
like
do,
start small, or do you think
I
like
do.
they should just do it on an individual basis? Because I
I'm
know,
gonna say,
like, for some
go ahead.
people, like in a Jewish community, right? They start small with like maybe like 4 to 8 people, and they pool their money together on a joint project. You know what I mean? And then when they get to a certain stature, then they might go solo on their own.
You can do 5 people on a mortgage.
Okay.
I see no reason. You can take 5 people from McDonald's
Mm-hmm.
with a salary of 25,000 each. Put your salaries together. 3 of those guys probably got a credit score above 650.
Right.
The other two is 590 and above, probably usually.
Mm-hmm.
Those two, and just make those payments.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you don't even have to do that. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. We're in a situation as African Americans. We're not in a position. A lot of us, and I did a video about that, about Jim Jones and Cameron having their beef, and how
Mm-hmm.
different people tend to not respect, or not, just a lot of people tend to be selfish within the black community, or they try to double cross you in business. So what I say, do, this is just my personal opinion, start small, build and get yourself in a position, then partner with people. And the reason I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna say, unless you're dealing with someone that is focused and they have character, and they're not gonna go out and do things that are gonna back. Because I'm gonna be honest, I've partnered with a lot of. I'm speaking from experience. I've
Right.
partnered with people on concerts, and I've partnered with people on real estate, and partnered with people on, and it, for the most part, it has not worked. It
Mm-hmm.
worked to a certain extent. Like this guy I partnered with now, he's a stand-up guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
most people that I partner with, it doesn't work like that most of the time.
Right.
So
Right.
and when you're starting small, especially as a black man, if you save up, you work a year and you save up $7,000, and you go throw your whole $7,000 with a guy and he backdoors you and do something wrong, I
Right.
wouldn't do that. But what I would
Mm-hmm.
do is take that $7,000 and see what businesses I can start for $7,000. So I'll start a business like, um, yeah, I don't know, a lawn service. I actually talked about that in one of my, start a
Mm-hmm.
lawn service, or, just start something small and keep your job. I think right now we kind of, and I love Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, or whatever you want to call it. Dr.
He's
Boyce
focused
Watkins,
on like he's more focused on like the stock market right now
well, he
and stuff
he
like that.
is, but
Right.
he also just talks about owning businesses. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to make is this: if you're going to get into any type of business at this point, at this juncture, and you're not in a financial position to do it, joining forces may be a good way to go. I will say
Mm-hmm.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
if not, I would probably go focus on my own business. I myself,
Right.
I'm at a point like I'd rather do stuff by myself. But I
Mm-hmm.
got a partner of mine. Let me tell you, this is real. A partner of mine, real cool guy, man, stand up guy. He called me. He would call me a couple of times. We talked a few times. When I see him, we would always talk for a long
Right.
time. Real cool guy.
Right.
And he
Right.
just told me like, "Hey man, I got some money. Let's go do a deal together." Kept telling me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So finally, we went and did that deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we everything. We had some bumps in the road, but our
Right.
what matters to me is our relationship and how we dealt with each other.
Right.
That to me matters way more than the winning or losing, because
Mm-hmm.
we first of all, it's real estate. We're not going to lose our money unless we
Right.
do something stupid, which we haven't.
Right.
So we're
Right.
in a strong position on this property that we're in. We're waiting to close on it or sell it. But basically, the thing is, I more so I focus on how I'm going to. I guess the biggest thing is to focus on how you're going to relate to that individual. How are you going to? What type of relationship are we going to have? Are we going to be fighting and arguing. Like my partner, when I had a comedy club, we were fighting and arguing every other day.
Right.
You know, me and him disagreed on small things like he didn't want to hire an accountant. He didn't want
Why?
to because he has this old dope boy because he was a former dope guy. I guess he still,
Right.
from what I hear, he started back dabbling in it. But he was the type of guy that wanted to have this street mentality, and you try to adopt that in business. That's why I don't
Right.
believe that when they say that dope boys make the best businessmen. I don't think so.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
the product sells itself.
Right.
So you still have to, if your customers are junkie, it's pretty easy for you to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But if your customer has a choice of going to Walmart of
Mm-hmm.
drug, or going to Walmart or going to
Or
your store,
Target.
yeah,
Right.
then you have to have some creativity. You have to have skills to be able to sell that product. Now, are there some drug dealers that have talent? Of course, I'm not stupid enough to say all drug dealers don't make good
But you're
business.
saying like they don't have to be creative in order
In
to
order
like
to like
sell their
sell their
product
product
because
because
their consumer is hooked on the product anyway. They'll take
exactly.
anything. But for someone who isn't addicted to something, it's up to I guess the guy who owns a business to make it creative so that they can want to, buy your product.
Exactly, and that's the gist of it. I hear us. We give a lot of dope boys in the community. I did a video on thugs a while ago, and we
Right.
give a lot of drug dealers credit and respect, and we put these guys on pedestals as being the great businessmen of our age. And I'm sorry, I just, Black Men Taking Back Our Communities did a video about it. I mean, let's
Mm-hmm.
just look at the statistics. They're not doing too well. Black
Right.
thug, they're not good businessmen. I'm sorry. If they were, we would
Right.
see certain industries within the Black community whereby they've come into the Black community and made some sort of inroads. They haven't.
Right. Right.
So it's to keep pushing this myth that somehow the drug dealer is the best businessman is just a bad idea,
Right.
you know. And what I wanted you to do, man, is speak to, you yourself have been to Ethiopia a lot of times. I've been to Ethiopia, so I want you to speak to the business opportunities that you see abroad in the motherland, because
A
your
lot.
wife is
A
from
lot.
there.
And it may depend like on what Ethiopian country you visit. But in Ethiopia, they have a lot of cattle, and so they have a lot of leather and cheap leather. I mean, you could buy a nice leather coat for like 60 or like $70, over there, and then like sell it over here for like 4 to 5 times as much. There's just a lot of different um, opportunities over there that I see in regards to like making money, you know, because there's certain things over there that are cheap that are very expensive over here. And also, I noticed like a lot of locals over there, not a lot, but many, tend to travel to other countries, like nearby countries, like Dubai, um, Bangkok, Turkey, to buy like clothing, and then they bring those clothes back to Ethiopia and sell them, at a decent price to make a profit. My wife have like several friends that do just that, and they make like a decent money. Like one of them makes like a six-digit figure salary just from doing that.
Just from going to foreign countries and
Right,
buying and selling.
right. And when I say salary, I mean in our money, like in our dollars. She's making that kind of money.
And that's the thing. And one thing we need to realize is our dollars go a lot further in Africa, you
Yes,
know.
it does. It does. It
So what do
does.
they call them? Birr, Ethiopian birr. I think what's the exchange rate now?
Uh, when I left, it was like 22 bird for $1.
Exactly. So we can really go over there and get a lot done and a lot accomplished with our money.
Indeed. Indeed.
What are some of the cheapest ways to get there? Because I myself, when I go, I think that the cheapest way to get to Africa, just as my personal opinion, and if anybody listens to this video, the best website to go to, I found to buy international tickets is cheapflights.co.uk. And the reason is
Hmm.
they base it out of London, and for some reason, London has the best flights as far as
Hmm.
price wise.
Okay.
I guess
I
it's
didn't know
because it's
that.
so close to Africa.
Right.
So you can get out of London for like $500 round trip into Ethiopia. And then, you know, people like, well, it's expensive to get to London. No, you can get. I've caught a London. I caught a British Airways trip out of Atlanta for $200. I've done it up into. I flew into London Gatwick and caught a what they call a bus over to Heathrow, but it's not as expensive as we think. As put it like this, $1,000 is not unheard of.
Right.
Now, when you do your first search, that's what deters a lot of people as Africans, Black people. We go on the internet and we see $2,500 tickets.
Right.
Man, I can't never go to Africa. It's too much. I can't. That's not. Don't give up. You know, go to the UK websites and search their prices. You're gonna get better prices out of the UK. And then this is just from my own personal.
So like you're saying, like fly from Atlanta to London, and then from London, go
if you can find a flight into London for $300, I've done it. $350 at the most. $350 round trip, $400. Sometimes it's $500 or $600. But the best time, and I'm gonna tell you, I used to work for the airline. The best time to check flight prices is Wednesday morning at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
The prices are usually at their lowest then. And
well,
go ahead.
For me, like how I did it, it was through a friend of mine who is from Kenya, and like she told me like what to do. I don't think it was like cheap air, but it was a different kind of like, you know, web, like, you know, thingy. But she said the best thing to do is to like get a ticket 3 to 4 months ahead of time because they're cheaper that way. And then she said to like get it on the weekday because on the weekend it's like more expensive. And so that's what I did. And on the first time I went over there, I paid like maybe like $1,400 round trip from Pittsburgh to Ethiopia.
I mean, and that therein is the issue. I mean, we have to, you know, once you get there, getting a hotel is not. I mean, hotels are not
right. Like, and like she told me also, like, don't get a hotel because you know they're kind of like too expensive. And she told me the cheap way to do it is to stay longer for at least like 1 to like 2 months, and to get a furnished apartment. And so I paid like $500 for like 1 month for a furnished apartment over in Ethiopia. So like total with like the plane ticket and the apartment, it was like maybe like 2,000, maybe like, you know, close to like 3,000. No, I mean close to like 2,000, close to like 2,000. Yeah.
But still, I mean that's a great opportunity. I mean, you're in the motherland. You know, did you fly into Kenya first?
No, I went straight from like Pittsburgh to DC, and then from DC straight to Addis Ababa.
Okay.
Because like they have their own airplanes, and they go straight from DC to their country, you know.
Okay, all right. And which airline was that?
It was Ethiopian Air.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because actually, when I was over there, I met some people from DC that were Ethiopians, but they spoke fluent English. And the guy was he was like, I'm Ethiopian. I grew up in you know, DC, but you know, I'm over here now. So yeah. So I guess the main thing I'm trying to say is this, man. As a people, we need to start traveling and looking for opportunity because we're living in a local market right now.
We do.
The Chinese
and also, the Chinese were all over the place in Ethiopia. The Chinese, the Philippines, even the Japanese were over there, and the Indians, and the Arabs, man, they were all in Ethiopia, like from like Saudi Arabia Arabs, you know, they were like all over there. And so, I mean, everyone is there but us.
So this is the thing.
And then you had like different Europeans there from like I saw like many from Germany, Brussels, England. Everyone was there but us.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I was there, the whole time I was in Ethiopia, we would go out every night, and I saw nothing but white men, and they were getting all the women. I mean, the best of the best. I'm not talking about any Ethiopian woman. There was this girl I talked to over there. Her name was Bethlehem. She was a traffic stopper. She was real beautiful. I think I came back, and I called a couple of times. We talked. We lost touch. So one day I called about a couple of years later. Her sister answered the phone, and she told me, she said she's married in Italy. They love it.
Wow.
People love them. Because
Yeah.
they go down, especially, Italians love black women. I know that's what people
Yeah.
don't want to hear.
Right.
But black women are loved in Italy. They
Mm-hmm.
love them because they have that. They have this. I know some sisters that flew over to Italy and literally had to run from certain guys. Literally, she said I had to run. Like this guy
Right.
kept chasing me, and I mean
Right.
they are crazy over there. So what I'm saying is, Africa, man. When you look at when we as black people, what we need to understand is this: yeah, there's opportunity in America for business,
Right.
but there's also opportunity
Elsewhere.
in in elsewhere. Exactly.
Yes.
We're living in a global economy.
Yes.
More Chinese millionaires are being built in Africa.
Yep.
It's so simplistic. Like
Yep.
if you look at AliExpress, that website you go to, AliExpress.com, you can get
Yes.
anything on there for next to nothing, right?
Yep. Yep.
Take that stuff down to these African countries. I mean, it's not just African countries. Dominican Republic, Brazil, anything
Yes.
American, these clothes that these
Mm-hmm.
females wear. And I don't know what to pick because I don't know what women wear, but
Right.
whatever you see, you get it in things that we'll come over here and pay next to nothing for. You can go to like a little cheap mom and pop shop somewhere and get this stuff, or a lot of stuff you get online. Take it to these foreign
Absolutely.
countries. This stuff is worth hundreds of dollars. Like I've seen
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Stuff that we're like stuff we were wearing 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're just getting it. But because the thing is, they want to look Akata, as they put it in Africa. They want to look American,
Right.
so that helps them by looking, that way. They look special. They want to, I hate to say it, they got this Willie Lynch chip in them. They want to look white, a lot of them. So, that's another thing I don't like, but I noticed in the Dominican Republic, in certain areas, you could
Right.
just tell when you're around what they call westernized Dominicans and the other
Right.
Dominicans, the Dominicans that don't travel to America anytime they can or they want to, and the Dominicans that travel to America all the time,
Right.
that wear Gucci, they
Mm-hmm.
have Prada stores, they're driving a
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes. Those types, they were a little different. They don't
Mm-hmm.
like African Americans.
Right.
And there's an area not called Naco, I forget the name of that area. It's over by Malacone, not too far
Right.
from Malacone in the
Right.
Dominican Republic, and they are very distant to African Americans. They're
Mm-hmm.
very basically they're all. It's almost like they're white supremacists. Like they
Right.
have this white is right mindset. They could be
Mm-hmm.
darker than us, or they could
Right.
be look like a light skinned brother with woolly hair. But because
Right.
they want to be basically want to be white. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of those people in that area dye their hair blonde. You know, there's a
Right.
lot of that going on. So I just think, man, that we as a people have to start looking for opportunities and pay attention to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Like right now,
Indeed.
you could go in
Indeed.
the bank right now and talk to anyone, and they're gonna say, "Well, I mean, if you want to borrow money, you need to bring this, you need to do this, you need to do that," or they'll say, "I don't know if we're gonna make those decisions." But then you see these white boys doing it.
Mm-hmm.
These white boys are throwing up apartment complexes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they special?
Mm-hmm.
If they can do it, we can do it. I know it's going
Right.
to be harder for us. We must admit it will be.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to expand our worldview, our horizons. We need to stop thinking.
Right. And don't take no for an answer. I mean, just because they say no the first time, don't mean that we give up. You just keep pushing until you get it.
I mean, that's it. I mean, my first house, I had people, realtors, come and laugh in my face on my first property.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to buy this piece of junk. Look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't have vision.
Right.
I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, this is this, and I'm gonna fix that, and this is this, and I'm gonna fix that. But when I fix
Right.
this and I fix that, and I put carpet here, and I paint this and do this, it's gonna look like this.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't do it.
Right.
They couldn't do it. And a lot of times, and Rich Dad says this in Robert Kiyosaki in their Rich Dad books. One of the things he always said: be careful of what sector you're getting your advice from, or what quadrant.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the cash flow quadrant, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. If you're getting advice from a person at a bank, that's a damn employee.
Right.
They're not. The funny thing that gets me about people when you go to ask money, these are people that punch a clock that don't have the heart, a lot of them, to get out here and do business. I once knew a
Right.
guy at a bank that was a commercial lender, right? And
Yeah.
he was lending money and stuff like that. And me and my friend would go in there and borrow money from this guy. And he would always be talking, man, I admire what you guys are doing, this, that, this, that. And so he sat and watched, you know, and we did a deal one time. And I'm talking about we bought the house at like 3 o'clock.
Yes.
No, we bought it probably a little earlier than that. We bought it early that day, like say 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Sold it at 4:30 that same day.
Wow, that's quick.
Jacked it up $100,000. And we got it, right?
Yeah.
And when that happened, he did not like. Take in mind, this guy's probably making 90,000, 75, 90,000 a year, if
Right.
that. He probably wasn't making that much.
So
So we
dude
made
got
that
jealous?
exactly. He got very jealous. This was a black guy, and what happened
You
from
would
that point
think
on?
you
What?
would think that he would like want in on it and like help you out even more.
Well, what he did was he started going and talking to other lenders,
Yeah.
and word got back to me that he was talking to other lenders. I don't know about these guys. I don't know. I don't know. Just putting that doubt in there. And the reason I'm saying that that's not cool is because he just got jealous. So you have to be careful of who you're sharing your information with,
Yeah.
and you have to be careful of what advice they give you. Because I've seen people in those type of positions talk like they know what the hell they're talking about, and they hadn't started a damn lemonade stand. So
Right.
when you walk in a
Right.
bank, understand that that person is an employee. He's just in a
Right.
position to lend money. So they're not the type of person you need to be talking to. And
Right.
in this business, you need a mentor. You do. You need someone that's there or someone that's ahead of you, and they know the pitfalls. They know, hey, be careful, do this, look out for this, look out for
Right.
that.
Right.
If I had to tell you, hey, I'm going to the bank, what do I need in my package? You need to get your plans in your package. You need
Yeah.
once you have your plans, you need to have your 3 years tax returns. You need to have your taxes probably go to this guy over here. He's a professional. He's going to give you a nice package and put everything together. So when you walk in the bank, you got accountants. See, I had to learn this. You have accountants that will prepare your package for you to go to the lender. And that
Right.
makes all the damn difference in the world. How you package your paperwork when you go in that damn bank is very important. It's just like if you walking in the bank in a damn sweaty t-shirt and shorts, or if you walking in
Yeah.
the bank in a suit. It
Right.
makes a difference. And it also makes a difference how your paperwork looks. How does the package look? When you give it to them, what does it look like? Little bitty
Right.
moves like that make the difference as to how and when you're going to get the loan. It's not always about the color of your skin. It's not.
Right.
I know black people that borrow money to the point they got so good. And you know Eddie. Eddie got so comfortable with these banks, he can just make a phone call, they'll write him a check. Black guy. And a lot of these guys he was borrowing money from were racist. Didn't like it. But his paperwork was together.
Right.
What do we need to do? There's a company, and I'm gonna put this on this video because I don't know who's gonna watch it. And I like to pass out information. There's a company called God, what's the name of this company? Self-pay or something. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Give me 1 second. But
Self-pay.
no, it's a company. Basically, what they do is they give you loan money to yourself, and you build your credit. So if you're not in the position today, because my goal is, okay, in X amount of years, I want to be here. What do I need to do? It's called self-lender.
Okay.
That's the name of it. Self-lender, right? And so we got plans that says a credit builder account is almost like a savings plan that builds credit. Self-lender has three credit building plans starting at $48.50 a month. So you could build credit every damn month. What are you doing to better yourself?
Right.
Right? Once you get your credit, north of 660, 650, that's the magic number. Once you
Right.
round 680, 690, you got the credit.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need the down payment, right?
Right.
But
Right.
you knew the whole time. So this self-lender program will give you that.
Mm-hmm.
You're killing two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have to do, what did I say when I first started this video? Start small. You
Right.
know, what do I need?
Start
Okay,
where you're at.
exactly. Some banks will take 10% down. Don't let them fool you. They'll say 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems insurmountable. How in the hell am I gonna get? I'm trying to do $100,000 deal. Where am I gonna get $20,000? I don't have it.
Right.
Some banks will let's say, hey, we could do 10. You say, okay, where am I gonna get the $10,000? I mean,
Right.
I'm gonna put this out. This is another way you can get the down payment. It's called a CPN number, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't like this because some people say it's crooked, but I'm gonna tell the truth. This is what a lot of people do. I heard a
Mm-hmm.
white guy talk about this. What you do is you go out, you get a CPN number, which is basically this is Google. Just look it up. CPN number. I have a guy. I can give you his number. I'm gonna put his number on here. I'm gonna put his number on the video.
Right.
I'm gonna send him some customers. But anyway, this guy will give you a CPN number. Let me see. Anyway, and I've actually done business with this guy. That's all I'm gonna say. He will say what he did, but he's a, it wasn't anything cricket.
Right.
Let's put it like
Right.
that.
Right.
This number is 678
Mm-hmm.
824 4785.
Mm-hmm.
He basically this brother will give you a CPN number that's tri-merge, which means it reports to all three credit bureaus.
Mm-hmm.
What you do then is you build credit with this number, and he'll sell you. He has a way of getting you the trade lines to put on that credit score. Once you put the trade lines on the credit score,
Mm-hmm.
there's more to it than that, of course. But once you put the trade lines on the credit score, then you start applying for credit.
Mm-hmm.
But see, the beautiful thing about this credit, it's not personally backed. So you could get high-end trade lines of $20,000, $30,000 in probably like let's say 2 months.
Right.
Now you got step one done. You got the
Mm-hmm.
down payment. Now you got the down payment. You got the credit score. That's when you go to the accountant or whoever. You get a package created. You get everything done. You get your plans. You go to eplans.com. This is
Mm-hmm.
stuff I'm doing right now as we're
Right.
talking.
Right.
You go to eplans. You got your lot. You put your earnest money down for your lot. You get that under contract.
Mm-hmm.
You got your plans. That's the package that the bank wants. They're lazy. These are
Mm-hmm.
employees we're talking about.
Right.
They want to see what they want to see when you come in with that package. They want to see paperwork. Everything's okay. They got questions. Well, how much is it going to cost? Estimate. Okay, cost to bill. When you go to
Mm-hmm.
ePlans, they'll give you that
Mm-hmm.
cost to bill. They got an estimate, and it'll print out for you. All that'll come in your package when it comes in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
You want actual document like scaled out plans that they can show just to take to your bank. You don't need the exact plumbing, wiring. You don't need all that. You just need something to take to the bank. You can get
Right.
all that on eplans.com.
Okay.
That'll save you a lot because go to an architect now, you're talking $3,000-$4,000.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
So some architects want 10-15% of the actual cost to build for plans. I'm dead
Mm-hmm.
serious. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to an architect and say you're going to build some apartment complexes, an apartment complex, and they looking at, okay, you're going to be 30 million in, they're going to try to get you for a few $1,000,000 for them plans. They are.
Right.
So in order to save yourself that trouble, get all your paperwork done prior to build your credit, and that's it. Now, if you could partner with someone that has the money or
Mm-hmm.
has the credit score and they co-sign with
Right.
you together, you guys come
Right.
together, by
Right.
all means go to it. But this is where we are right now as a people. We have
Right.
to start thinking about wealth, land, and things that we can leave intergenerationally to our
Right.
family and to our people.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. I mean, that's the way that we have to go. Economic empowerment is was the last phase of the civil rights movement of the 1960s before Martin Luther King Jr. got shot. I mean, that was like his next phase, his next step, but he got shot before that even happened. And so we got integration, but we didn't get economic integration. We were able to eat at the same restaurant, but we didn't get uh, the means so that we can, pay, so that we can afford, to pay in those restaurants and stuff like
Well,
that.
I like
So
I like Malcolm X best when he said it. He said, if black people, he said, if black leaders are so intelligent and gifted that they can get us integrated into white stores and white owned businesses, then he says they should be also gifted enough to get us our own businesses and our own stores and jobs, so that then we'll be in a better moral position. He said the black man
yeah.
is in no moral position to go to the white man and beg for jobs and to be able to get inside his economy when we have no economy of our own, whereby they can come to us and get the same exact thing. So
Well,
he
see,
said that
like
was,
the integration, which is partial, it wasn't full. Like we're still excluded from a lot of stuff. Like we're economically excluded, still. And so it was just partial, and it was harmful, I believe, to us, in that we lost a lot of our businesses.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I look at a lot of this stuff now when people talk about integration. There are a few people now, even to this day, that haven't figured that out. That was a bad
Yeah.
idea. There are a few people to this day that think that integration is a good thing because Barack
Well, wait,
Obama.
wait. I mean, overall, I think it's good, but what's bad is that we had to integrate into their stuff. They didn't integrate into our stuff. Like
I
even
think we
now,
got
there's
less than
look,
what
look,
we
look,
gave
look.
up.
Even now, there's people making the argument that we don't need black schools, like we don't need black colleges and universities anymore, and we don't need black companies anymore because we're integrated. But the thing is, though, is that integration should go both ways. It just shouldn't just be, well, okay, we just give up our companies and beg you to work for your company. No, no, we get to keep our company, and if you want to work for you, that's our choice. Like the choice should be there, and we shouldn't be barred from that choice. But it's like there's pressure on us to give up our things, and I think that's wrong. And
Well,
that is what happened in integration.
well, I'm gonna say this right here, and this is just real. I think we gave up way more than what we got in integration.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this: Dr. Claude Anderson broke it down in a speech. He talked about all the different businesses that we own. I remember when BET first came on the air. I was a little kid. I remember sitting watching BET, and they would show all these old black and white films. They were black owned, black started, black production companies. Wait, the stuff that Tyler Perry's doing right now has been done before. We did it in the 20s and 30s.
Right. Right.
So the things that everybody's screaming Tyler Perry. I don't have a big problem with Tyler Perry like a lot of people do, because I'm from the South, and I remember he used to he been doing Mud Deal since like I was in high school. He
Right.
was. I mean,
Right.
he was doing Mud Deal in the early '90s, man, mid '90s. He was doing coming to Montgomery. While we were at Tuskegee, he would come and do his thing. So I never really had a problem with the brother like that because I knew that it wasn't that he did that to sell out. That was who
Right.
he
Right.
was
Right.
beforehand. But the thing is this: when you look at the black community, we had our own businesses, our own movie theaters, our own bus lines. We had our own hotels. We had our own black-owned everything. Cabs. We had everything that white people had. We had. Then we get integration. I'll be honest with you. I just
Right.
feel like the only thing they should have did in integration was give us a right to vote and representation through government. That's it. As far as the rest, as far
Well,
as
I'm
us
not going to say
white-owned
that's. I'm
business,
not going to say that's it. I think that we should have access to anywhere, to to anything. But what happened is we no longer like the money that we should have got. We didn't get. Like we are excluded from the money. The
I'm gonna
money
say this. Okay,
stays in the hands
hold
of.
on. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's unpack that for a second. Okay, you got one group of people that got 90% of the wealth at the time
Right.
in the early
Right.
60s. You got another
Yeah.
group of people that got half of 1% of the wealth, right? In
Hmm.
the 60s. Or we probably had a little bit more back then. But let's say we had 8%, 10%, right?
Okay.
So it was 90-10, let's say, right? So then we integrate. We got out marketed. Like, dude, we got out marketed, man. Like we didn't have to say that we should have been allowed to go everywhere.
Look.
It's kind of messed up.
When I
Let me
say
get
that,
the
I
point
mean
out.
this,
Get the point out,
right?
John. Hold on one
Everyone,
second.
look, blacks and non-blacks should be able to buy at black companies. You know what I mean? And so it should be both ways. Like we shouldn't be shut out. And so I think having the access to go anywhere is good because that means that whenever we have a company, non-blacks can shop at our places too. And so like there's no government intrusion that says no, you can't shop here. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do this.
No. The government. What I'm saying is, it wasn't necessarily the government. A lot of times,
It
the
was the state
businesses.
government and the city government.
Well, yeah, it was state governments. I will admit, segregation was state ran, but a lot of businesses did not want to serve blacks as well. What I'm saying, and let me get the point out I'm trying to make. The point I'm making is this: when you give someone your dollar,
Yes.
you empower them.
Yes, you do.
When you go to the Asians and give them money to sell you weed, you are empowering those Asians to put their children through school, to to own more businesses, to be wealthy, right? So when you say that you don't want black people, back in the 60s, it was just white people, and say, I don't want black people coming in our business. What you're doing is, that person, if I'm hungry, what you're gonna force that black person to do is say, okay, I'm hungry and I got a black business over here that's looking to serve me, and they'll let me come and sit in with my lady. We want to sit down and have dinner. We don't want to get food served through the back window. So yeah, we'll go do that. It's raining. I'm going to the black business. And what happens with that is it allows for us to compete financially, because that vacuum within capitalism is filled by a black company that probably wouldn't be able to compete because of all this other dirty, low down stuff that you did to get a head start. Once you get your head start, it's like trying to, you can't integrate a situation where one guy, that's like if me and you try to do a business, right?
Right.
And I got
Right.
$200 million in the bank, you ain't got nothing. Integration was like that. It's like we trying to come together with people, and we have no recourse. We have no way of twisting their arm. If they don't, if white
No
people, if
leverage.
Microsoft, exactly. So how you going to go and say you're going to integrate a system unless you give this other party some sort of leverage?
Right.
What leverage have we been given to integrate? I don't think integration was a good idea because of that. I think they should have integrated the government because we pay tax dollars,
Right.
and you can't do that. And I think
Right.
I deserve equal protection under the law, where I should be, if I go to court, I should be safe, or I should be safe from government. But to
But
say
what
that,
about the businesses, the private companies, right, that do business with government? They shouldn't be allowed to, um, you know, do the racist things that they did if they're doing business with the government. And so you got to add that onto it too.
well, I mean, that can be outlined. That should have been outlined. Like, I think it should have
Right.
been outlined. What does that mean when you say do business with the government? Are you saying just pay taxes? No. What you're
Uh,
probably saying is
a
government
lot
contract.
of like a lot of private companies that were racist that didn't integrate and still don't integrate pretty much. They have these government contracts, right? And I think that if you're going to integrate government, then everything that government touches, that policy should be implemented everywhere. Meaning, if you're a private company and if you want this government contract, then you have to integrate your company.
Well, I have a problem with that. I think that's all we should have done. I don't think,
Okay.
and the reason I'm saying that is because imagine if there was a black Walmart. Imagine if there's a black, company, a black Microsoft, or a
Mhm.
black Silicon Valley based in
Mhm.
Tuskegee.
Mhm.
That's what you're gonna force to happen, because integration, when you integrate a person, if you when you integrate, what it was basically to say, okay, now everybody gets to compete with everybody. Well, I want to
Exactly.
compete. That's like putting LeBron James against a guy in the seventh grade. It's just, it's unfair. Like, LeBron James is going to out compete this guy. That's not fair, and that's what we got. I'm
Mhm.
not a socialist. I'm actually a capitalist.
Mhm.
But we have not had pure capitalism, especially for black people. We only had pure capitalism for a brief moment after Reconstruction. And black people, there were more black millionaires at one time than there were white in America. They didn't want to talk
Yeah.
about that.
Right.
There were a lot of former black slaves that ran these plantations that were very smart and intelligent that got out and made themselves millionaires in a few short years.
Right.
So that's we don't have that anymore. So because the government stopped us, held us back, it's like a race, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
lack of a better word. I start a race off. We trying to get to the finish line. But I
Right.
let this other guy overlap you twice. Then I tell
Mm-hmm.
you can go. Then I think, who's gonna win the race?
He
9 times
is.
out of 10, the guy, unless he gets sick or trip up and bust his head or something, he's gonna win the race. All he gotta do is crawl, he'll win the race because he's overlapped me twice or 3 or 4 times. There's no
Right.
way that you can say integration, and this is why we look like we do. We integrate with a people. We
Look.
give up our
Integration means
small
that we
frangible
share.
businesses that we
But
have. We give them up.
wait. Integration means that we share what they have, and so it's not just their company anymore. It becomes our company, especially if we integrate in high numbers.
Okay, so this is the thing. If I say, okay, he this guy is part of the company, and I'm gonna let him come in and I'm gonna give a loan to a black guy, right?
Yeah.
You get a loan to that one black guy. The rest of the loans that they're giving out are white people.
Yeah, I know.
I can send you videos of different information, and I've seen it with my own 2 eyes of white people getting
And
loans.
it's wrong. It's
I know
wrong.
white investors that don't have to do half the stuff that I told you I had to do to get a loan.
Right.
I know white investors that just email a damn spreadsheet. They don't have to verify their numbers as much.
Right.
They don't. So, I mean, when you say that, nobody's twisting their arm to make it fair. The
Right.
government's not really going into, all they're doing is they're calling it redlining, and they're saying, well, we got these programs, and then they opened it up for everybody, and what they did was they did this Immigration Act, and
So you're
everybody now is,
saying
so
that
everybody's allowed
what
to
will
be.
make it more fair is that if we had our own banks and our own companies that did financing with us.
Exactly. It's because of that. Like, one thing I respect about Dame Dash, he talked about his movies, right? If you listen
Yeah.
to Dame Dash talk about his movies and how he does them, movies that I probably have never seen because they don't sound interesting. But one thing I would respect about the brother is that he says, look, I did a movie called Los Sadas. First, he talked about Paid in Full. He said in Paid in Full, he had to argue with Jews that, we both agree on that. He had to argue with the so-called Jews about what is black culture in Harlem in the early to mid 80s. What was Harlem supposed to be like? And
Right.
telling them, hey, this is Harlem. This is this guy. So he's fighting and arguing with these guys. They don't understand the culture.
Right.
Then he says he does another movie, Los Sadas, where he funded everything. He makes the decision. He says the only thing that's holding him back now is stepping up to the learning curve of how to make a movie, what the
Mm-hmm.
skills of editing and things. He talking about that. He was talking about that last week. So what I'm
Right.
saying is that we as a people would have been forced to. We're very creative. If they had
Mm-hmm.
left us alone and we hadn't integrated, right now we would be so much wealthier. We would be so much. In fact, we would be so much more respected. There wouldn't be as many black killings. It wouldn't be, because a lot of. I'm gonna tell you something. If you go back in history and look at it, the whole black image was hijacked by the media. What it meant to be a black man was hijacked. We were kept at
Mm-hmm.
a certain level. Integration, I don't see too many benefits of integration apart from being able to go get a job. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You go get a job with a white-owned company. That's it. But that doesn't. To me, the black-owned companies, the white-owned companies weren't there. A lot of these companies that I've worked for weren't even
Yeah.
around in
Okay.
1961, 62. So to look
Right.
at integration and say we were in worst off situations, the whole country was.
Right.
The middle class wasn't as big as it is. There weren't
Right.
as many businesses. There weren't as many millionaires. You could go back and look. The economy was nowhere where it is now, where
Right.
it was back then. So to compare and say, well, look at where we were in the 30s and 40s. The middle class was smaller. There weren't many private-owned companies, and private-owned companies were pretty much held by white people. But there were a
Right.
lot of private-owned white companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Booker T. Washington or whatever the name of that insurance company that A.G. Gatson owned.
Right.
Insurance. He was doing insurance because nobody would give us insurance. A white guy came and became a black guy from Birmingham, became a billionaire, millionaire, multi-millionaire because he filled that gap. He filled the vacuum
Right.
because they wouldn't sell us insurance. That's why black people to this day call it a burial policy
Mm-hmm.
because they think a lot of people were told in the 40s and 50s and 60s that you can't get insurance. All you can get is a burial policy, which goes up to $10,000.
Right.
That's it. I got family members that talk like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, I had to explain to them, man, you can go get $400,000 or $1 million in insurance if you want.
Right.
Go get it. If you in your 40s and 50s, get you at least 150, 200,000 in insurance.
Right.
We don't do that. So that's how they got ahead, man. Then when we integrated, we got out marketing. Why would you go to this store when you can go to the mall and it looks a lot better? It's a better environment. All the stores in there are economically viable. They're able to go borrow $200,000, $300,000 to open up their store. Whereas the black store, he saved up every dollar. He only could save up $5,000 to open up his store. Which store gonna look the best? Which store gonna have the better selection? See what I'm saying? Which store is gonna be in the better location with the most foot traffic? The white-owned store. So I just think integration all the way around, man. Education. I mean, do I need to go into that? I mean, look at Dunbar High School. You familiar with Dunbar, right?
No.
Dunbar, there's a guy, you familiar with Thomas Sowell, right?
No.
Thomas
Wait.
Sowell is a conservative
Oh,
author.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, black guy. So Thomas Sowell did a book about called White Redneck, Black Rednecks.
Right. Right.
In that book, he talks about how great black education was before integration and a lot of the things we did. And he just basically breaks it down and just shows Dunbar High School was on the level of, I mean, these guys were on a high level. That college, that movie, The Great Debaters.
Right.
Black education was excellent. Now the best and brightest go to Harvard. The best and brightest black people go to Stanford, MIT. They don't go to Tuskegee. They don't go to Howard. But what if they did?
Right.
The best and brightest, they don't go. I got a friend of mine named Alex. Alex started a company after he graduated. He was an engineer. And Alex had a car that he said it would get like 100 miles a gallon. It was a performance motor. He built the motor. He said the motor, he personally designed his motor himself. Two of his friends graduated school. They got offers from Procter & Gamble and GM. They took those jobs and they quit. He said they didn't want to, they didn't want to start the car company.
Wow.
Black manufacturing car company. He's gonna manufacture his own cars. He was gonna start small, but these guys decided they'd rather work for GM. That's what happens. It's hard to turn down 80,000, man. It just is when you're coming out of school. Why is that? Integration.
Right.
Integration. Had we not integrated, there would be a black company. Those three guys probably would have had.
Basically, what you're saying is like, wait, Bill. Basically, what you're saying is it's similar to the situation of how immigration works over here and how we take the brightest and the best of other countries, and those other countries can't build up their own economy because their people leave for ours.
Yes and no. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think we lose by bringing their best and brightest over here, though. Because this is the dirty little secret about it.
No, like I would just like trying to give an analogy. Like you're saying,
I
like
agree.
we can't build our own because our own keep going elsewhere.
Yeah, the best and brightest leave and they go for greener pastures. But the problem is, I look at that H-1B stuff a little different. But at the same time, I think it hurts people in the long run. It hurts the black community to go get these jobs in the black in these companies. Because let's be honest. Let's say they get rid of affirmative action, and let's say that the worst fears of many people come true, and 100% of black people are unemployed. Right? It's gonna be hard for the first, I say, 5-10 years. People are gonna be struggling. Black people are gonna be, it's gonna be rough.
Right.
Right. But come back in 20 years, what's it gonna look like when no black people work for white companies? What's it gonna look?
Basically, you're saying is that we will be forced to build our own and to do our own.
And a lot of these things and habits that we have won't be here anymore. A lot of the
Right.
things that black people like, even Section 8 and food stamps and welfare, a lot of those programs harm black people in the long run. They do. This, I don't even think it's even up for debate and discussion, but we got so many of us as black people who have this Willie Lynch chip on the inside. We just feel like that we can't make it without Section 8. We can't make it without food stamps. We need those safety net programs. But those safety net programs are probably what provide the ghetto and make the ghetto as massive for the black community as it is. There are a lot of people that would get up out the ghetto. Case in point, New Orleans, when the hurricane hit.
Yeah.
A lot of those people were forced to get off their ass and get jobs and go to school. And a lot of people benefited from that damn hurricane.
Yeah.
I know people don't want to hear that.
Right.
They want to act like all those people were, and there's a lot of them that's just messed up in the head and wasn't no hope for them. But, you know, it's just like an animal. It's just like a bird, right? You take a bird. I actually, when I was a kid, I shouldn't have done this. I took a baby squirrel and kept him. I think the mama died or something, and I took, it was 2 baby squirrels. So I took them and laid them in the cage. And I had a cage at home, and I fed them.
Right.
Well, one of them died. The other one, I tried to let him go. So I took him outside and put him on the tree.
He wouldn't go.
I left, went outside, came back. He sat there for about 4 or 5 hours, did not move. He just sat there on the tree. He was petted because he doesn't know he's lost. That, you know, it's just like a lion. If you take a lion out of captivity in Ethiopia, they're big on lions. So they got a lion. I went to the zoo. The lion was just sitting there. He didn't look like a lion that you see on Animal Planet.
Right.
He was just sitting there like, man, what am I doing? You know, he just felt like he, you know, you lose something in the long run when you give something dies on the inside of a person. I do believe this. Something dies when you give them something for an extended period of time to where they don't have to earn it. It's just like muscles, man. If you don't use them, they're going to atrophy. And if black people have not had to use that entrepreneurial spirit, that entrepreneurial muscle, and we don't have to have that drive, and something has died to the point where I can sit here and talk to you, talk to a lot of black people, they'll fight me to the death saying that, man, that's impossible. We can't do this. It's impossible for us to go out here and start this. So it's impossible for us to compete with Microsoft. Damn
now,
it, we run
notice,
Microsoft.
I never said that it's impossible. I never said that we can't do this.
I wasn't even talking about you. I was just saying in general. I was just talking about black people that I've spoken with. I'm not even talking about what you said. But yeah, there are a lot of black people out here that when you talk to them about business, they just have a defeatist mindset. You know, I mean, Yvette Carnell comes to mind. I mean, I'm sorry. The sister, every time I see her, every time. Like
it seems like she's against any kind of self-help. It's like everything, it's like government help only. And any kind of talk of we got to do this for ourselves, she just totally attacks. And I don't understand that.
I understand it because she's all she's ever seen is government. She works. I mean, I don't know her past. I guarantee she seems like she's worked at a university. She takes university jobs. She's not capable of going out here in her mind. That she's like that bird or that squirrel that I had when I was a kid. She's gonna just sit there. She doesn't see it's dead. And I'm gonna tell you something. I honestly believe that this is a tactic of white supremacy. To once you take something, any culture, you study it. It's a lot of foreign countries right now because of
wait. I think she has some good points, but I think that she shouldn't attack, you know, self-help and self-empowerment. But she totally attacks it to no end, and I don't
hold on now.
understand that.
Hold on. So you telling me that it's a good idea, or she has a good point when you look at government aid?
I'm saying like I'm saying a good point here and there, because like everything she says ain't bad or like, you know what I'm saying, wrong, but I don't like it when she attacks, you know, self-help and self-empowerment.
I mean, she went in on Dr. Claude Anderson. I lost all respect for her. I was like, Dr. Claude's arguments are airtight. Like,
Right.
if you don't believe in Dr. Claw's argument, then you really you need to turn in your black card to me. Like
I
you
know,
don't.
like when she was arguing with like Dr. Watson, like she called him all kind of names, right? When she was arguing with him.
Dr. Watkins was very calm and patient with her, and she sat there
Yeah.
for an hour and just tried her best to say
Man,
it
she
won't work,
berated
it
him.
won't work, it won't work, it won't work. All I'm saying is this, man. The point I was trying to make before you cut me off. If you look at our foreign aid to other countries, that pretty much tells you the stuff. I'm gonna give you a good example. It's a documentary on Netflix, right? About
Yeah.
this foreign aid that we send, like Haiti. There's this Haitian company, right?
Yeah.
And they were selling electric powered, solar powered phone poles or something he was doing. It was based off solar power, right?
Right.
Some white guy comes in from Europe after the hurricane, after the earthquake. He fills the market up, right? They showed the video. They actually was there with the guy, black guy. He was flourishing. He was selling solar powered telephone poles or something. It had a plug on
Wait,
it.
and this was a black guy doing
It's a
this.
Haitian.
Okay.
He was making well. He had like 12 employees. He was doing pretty good,
So what
right?
happened?
Damn, here come the European. They all these people donated money to the cause of Haiti. He flooded the market with all these doggone shoes. I mean, with all these solar powered phone poles or whatever they were. And when he did it, it ran him out of business. He wasn't out of business, but he was down to, like, he said, man, I'm down to one employee, two employees. I'm making 15%, 20% of what I used to make. I'm struggling to keep my lights on at my house now. He was saying it. This guy was doing very. When you try to help people, you hurt them in the long run. When you
Right.
there's in that same documentary, I'm gonna tell you the name of it. I can't remember it, but it's on Netflix. And in that same documentary, it was a company in I think it was an African country. These women were making shoes, right? They were selling. I think it was Birkin. They were selling some type of sandals. Doing well. They were giving the women jobs, and a lot of these women were homeless, living in sheds and shacks, and they actually got them a house, and their kids were going to school. She was able to pay for it. This is in a foreign country, third
Right.
world, right? Some white girl comes over there, and no, I think it's Crocs. Crocs shoe company owned by some white guy. He flooded the market with free Crocs. Guess what happened? Shut them down.
Hmm.
That's what happens in the black community when you try to get these social programs. That's what happens in the black community when you try to integrate with people that got way more money than you and got all these resources, and they got a network. It's within their network. If you white, it's usually you less than 6 degrees of separation from a guy that can get your hands on that type of money to do whatever it is you want to do. But when you black, you don't have that. I'm speaking it from experience. I went overseas. I had to raise money one time when I was at school at Tuskegee, and I had to raise money to play ball.
Right.
And I actually, because I went on this little traveling tour thing one summer, and when I went to play on that tour thing, it took me all I could. I wrote to all these black churches. Not one of them had enough money. They was giving me $20, $50. I went to one white church. They wrote a check out for the whole thing.
Wow.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. They got the network. It wasn't even a big deal. I wasn't a member of this church. And they just wrote the check out. Black guy off the street. I gave the numbers. I said, verify these people. I'm not lying. They called, wrote out the check. $2,000 check just like that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We don't have, as black people, it's better to leave us alone and pick up our
All
own. It's
right.
what Frederick Douglass said.
Well, I tell you what though. All right. Look, in this environment that we're in right now, and where integration is pretty much law, it's de facto, it's pretty much here and pretty much here to like stay. How can a black person have a business in this kind of environment when the other person is going to intervene? The other person that has a lot of resources and money, they're going to intervene and flood the market. How can you survive in this kind of environment if you want to start a business?
You do what the Jews did. You start with middleman stuff. You start with peddler. They were a peddler people. Like they're very industrious. You start small, you know.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is Selma, Alabama. I'm gonna get specific. In Selma, Alabama, every Saturday they got a flea market.
Right.
It's $5 for a setup of flea market to set up a booth.
Mm.
That's all they charge you. All you got to do now is just go on the internet and find something that people want. Go to AliExpress.com. Go out there every Saturday and sit out there for 3 hours a day, trying to sell every Saturday. Be
Mm-hmm.
consistent. Stay there. People gonna start coming out there buying from you. People
Mm-hmm.
come from all over to buy at that flea market. That's just an example. I'm not saying that you gotta. People may be listening to this way on the other side of the world, but what I'm saying is, you find small opportunities. You get your hands on as much money as you can, and you find markets where it won't be so much, where it will be flooded. Like, for example, the reason I'm saying we're flooded, I'm talking about integration flooded us in that they took the best and brightest of our employees and took
Right.
them.
And so, like, what I'm saying is, since that is our situation, since that is our reality right now in 2017, how can a black person in America make it in business in this kind of environment?
I mean, that's it. I think you have to think small, number one.
Mm.
Secondly, I would also think being organized is probably the biggest gift you can have, is organizational skills. Hiring a
Mm-hmm.
very damn good accountant. Let me tell you something. I prefer finding a black accountant, but I mean, I listen to Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey
Right.
has an ELP, endorsed local provider list.
Right.
The accountant that I used, I went to him, and I'm gonna tell you what happened. I
What
went to
happened?
his ELP in Montgomery, right?
Yeah.
He did my
Yeah.
taxes. Because he did my damn taxes, I told him I wanted to borrow some money. He got on the phone and told the white guy I was coming in there. It's a different scenario when you coming in from a guy who Dave Ramsey endorses in your region. Get within these white networks. That's why I got Booker T. Washington up here on my picture. If you're
Why?
familiar with Booker T, and I know you are,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying for the listeners, if you listen to Booker T was smart. Booker T got white money and,
Mm-hmm.
and, and,
He
and
did.
used it and steered it in his direction. He kept his mouth shut. You read his personal letters, Booker T was very pro-black, and he couldn't stand a lot of white folks just like the rest of us don't. But he was smart.
Yeah. He was smart.
He was smart. He wasn't stupid. He wasn't coming with guns blazing.
He knew how to maneuver.
That's it. So did A.G. Gatson.
Yeah.
You know, we can't, the guys that we call, and guess what? Both of those guys are called Uncle Toms and Coons. But they had the answer. They had the blueprint. They were smart. They figured
Yep.
the answers out. They'll say, okay, do I go full speed, calling people's names and insulting people? And as much as I respect W.E.B. Du Bois, E.B. Du Bois was more direct,
Right.
you know. And look what happened. Look how his life ended. I mean,
Right.
you know, he's in Africa, gave up his citizenship, and you know, he pretty much died bitter and broke. I'm just not broke. I don't know if he's broke. I know he was bitter
Right.
because he figured out it doesn't work. You're not going to get these people. He thought that you could deal with racism as an intellectual thing. You could they're just not intelligent. I've seen people with
Right.
IQs above 150 that's racist.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't got nothing to do with that. That's a heart issue. And only God changes people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're smart, you know, you deal and navigate within the system that you're in. I gave
Right.
you a CPN out there. Do it. I gave you, you know, how to get as much as you can. That's what I'm doing. Those are the steps that I'm actually taking.
Right.
Right now, I just don't see us going full throttle, you know, and you know, like if you see a guy that's Dave Ramsey's endorsed local provider, go on his website. Dave Ramsey is respected by white people. He wrote
Right.
a book, Total Money Makeover. White
Mm-hmm.
people, that's like a white Bible. That's like,
Right.
what's his name? David Burkett, Larry Burkett, whatever his name was.
Right.
That guy was a financial counselor, Christian guy. Those are the guys you go through. White people respect them. You go through the ELP. You get your taxes done through those people. When you get your
So pretty
taxes done,
much what you're saying is this: you go through their network to help benefit you.
exactly. And when you get around them, be on your best. Speak proper English. I'm dead serious. I know this. I know it sounds so messed up. Like, why can't I be myself? No, you go in there and you speak like Barack Obama. You do your best impression of Barack Obama when you go in
Right. Right.
there. Non-threatening. Suit and tie, slacks, button down. Even though he probably in shorts and a t-shirt. Don't do
Right.
it.
Right.
Don't do it. You gotta be on your P's and Q's when you come in there. You speak, you
Right.
laugh at they little corny ass jokes they make. You smile. You know, you do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I even went to a couple of Bible studies with the dude.
Mm-hmm.
I did. You know, I mean, I'm a Christian anyway, so it didn't bother me. But I'm
Right.
just saying, I went to a couple of Bible studies, went to their little men's prayer luncheon. I got the guy from the bank calls me on the phone. Only reason I hadn't really, he calls me on the phone. My brother's in government, is an elected official. So when he
Right.
won the election, the guy called me and congratulated me. And man, I know your brother. He was so happy to see my brother in there.
Yeah.
That earns me respect. So
Right.
what I'm saying is, that's the game you have to play.
Right.
That's the game you have to play a lot of time. You know, a lot of these brothers, man, when I see it, we come so with the guns blazing and white supremacy this and white supremacy that and racism. You can't do that.
Because you're not gonna win.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to take this, man. I'm gonna call you back.
All right.
All right.